There is an increasing discussion that something is wrong with our system of education. But what is it? Join me as we explore the schooling we have and the nature of nature, and as we determine the recurring problems of the school system, recognize an alternative conception to the current system, discover how pragmatic naturalism and systems theory can reconcile schooling, and infer the interplay of the variables of nature. What are the problems of the school system? Well, we send our children to school to prepare them for the real world, which is changing at a very fast pace, but our schools haven't changed much for hundreds of years. In fact, many people around the world have agreed that the current system of education was designed in the industrial age to prepare students to become factory workers. Unfortunately, the mentality of mass production and mass control still run deep in schools. In the current education system, children do nothing all day but follow instructions, while modern age values people who are creative, who can communicate their ideas and collaborate with others. Experts believe that autonomy is incredibly important in children's lives, but at schools, the children's lives are tightly controlled by the systems. The education system, as it stands, is an extreme standardized system which does not respect the basic fact of being human, that each of our students is unique and different in his or her own way, and those differences are manifested in how each of our students learn. However, the system has no room for such differences. What is the status of the educational system? Our education system, which evolved in the industrial age, has become basic and simplistic. What is the status of the school curriculum? It is vague and incoherent. The amount of content increases, while the teachers spend less time teaching important concepts. Schools seem to be pushing a curriculum for consumption set by third parties rather than by members of the school community, where teachers are the deliverer of a curriculum instead of key stakeholders. There is a crisis, and the crisis of schooling is a crisis of perception. Unless we change the way we see things, nothing will change. Gregory Bateson, who understands nature better than almost anyone, said, "The major problem of the world are the result of the difference between how nature works and how people think." Let us take this comment seriously as we ponder on the following questions. What are those differences? How does nature work? Most importantly, what can we say about the way nature works that is relevant to understanding problems related to schooling in the 21st century? Do we examine the nature of reality throughout his long career? Do we refer to the typical topics of philosophical examinations as the problems of philosophers versus the problems of men? The purpose of philosophical excursions away from daily life, at least according to Dewey, is to come back into the everyday and use the understandings gained through philosophy as tools for clarifying and achieving our real world goals. The strong connection between thought and action is one of the reasons that Dewey's point of view is called pragmatism. But Cunningham in 2014 stated that Dewey lacked an understanding of the importance of systems and complexity. Systems theory is the greatest discovery of the 20th century. which proposes that all things come embedded in situations, most involving entities and interaction. Multiple entities and interaction can be understood as systems. Thus, every person we encounter, every organization, every animal, garden, tree, and forest is a complex system. Let us now explore John Dewey's nature of nature. What is the nature of nature? Nature is defined first as the basic or inherent features of something, especially when seen as a characteristic of it. Nature may also be defined as the phenomena of the physical world collectively, including plants, animals, the landscape, and other features and products of the earth, as opposed to humans or human creations. Nature doesn't come to us all at once. We can't know it all at once. It takes time for us to transform this confusion into a coherent worldview. To that, we need experience. Experience is our interface to reality. We know reality through it. Reality for Dewey is completely natural. That is why we refer to his views as a form of naturalism, as cited by Ryder in 2013 and Shulkin in 2012. Dewey believed that by examining different types of experiences, we can increase our understanding not only of experience, but also of different kinds of things. We can increase our understanding of schooling because we experience school. And there is no experience without interaction. What we experience are interactions between us and other aspects of our environment. Thus, experience is the source of all our knowledge, all our memories, our values, our entire world view. Together with our genetic makeup, it is the source of ourselves. We emerge from experiences, and each experience has an effect on who we are. And as we go through life, we experience a succession of experiences. Dewey himself spent 35 years looking at the deeper philosophical issues such as the nature of experience, how humans inquire and learn and grow, and what he referred to as the generic traits of existence. The generic traits of existence include interaction, temporality, complexity, and qualitative uniqueness. All entities have histories. You never experience an entity as not having a history. All entities have histories, and all entities, Dewey tells us, are events. They have a beginning, a middle, and an end. One implication is that time is an aspect of all entities. Nothing occurs outside of time, and Dewey's word for the general timeness of all things is temporality. Temporality is one of the generic traits manifested by existence of all kinds, and it is an essential aspect of all systems, since all systems have histories. They have beginnings, middles, and ends, and all events occur with one or more situations or contexts. The biggest situation and the biggest event is nature itself. Another way of saying this is that nature is an affair of affairs, and the affairs of experience are linked in innumerable ways with the other affairs of experience. They interact with one another. Another generic trait of existence is qualitative uniqueness, which refers to the fact that any existence is what it is. Unlike every other event, qualities are an intrinsic and essential part of experience. Complexity is a generic trait that is related to the others. Nothing is completely simple as it comes to us in experience, because nothing exists without interactions or without a history, and nothing is anything other than what it is. All entities interact with other entities. They exhibit temporality, are qualitatively unique, and are complex. These generic traits define Dewey's philosophy of the nature of nature, And each of these is also a trait of every system involved in schooling. When we experience doubt or uncertainty, we examine distinctions and relations as part of inquiry, which is how we deal with environment complexity. We acquire habits, including knowledge and meaning, through the use of intelligence and imagination in the attempt to secure desired goods. Inquiry is a fundamental type of experience, deeply rooted in our existential situation as living organisms in a complex world. Something that we experience again and again becomes familiar to us. We develop routine ways of responding to it, and these routines over time develop into habits. Knowledge is made up of distinctions and relations acquired from our experience that we can use in multiple ways. Most people don't think of knowledge as a type of habit, but it is. When an event has meaning, it triggers association in our minds with possibilities or potential consequences. Meaning emerges as an organism organizes, controls, and directs the various existential relations that exist within the unanalyzed totality of experience. Intelligence is particularly valuable in understanding complex systems. The masterful exercise of intelligence also leaves room for tremendous range of variation and diversity in any population. Imagination allows inquiry to be active, associative, metaphorical, open-ended, unpredictable, and improvisational, and allows for the emergence of the new. Generally, the ideal is to resolve the interdependency of the situation in a way that secures desired goods, the things we want or the things that we value. Dewey writes that since we are creatures with lives to live and find ourselves within an uncertain environment, we are constructed to note and judge in terms upon bearing, upon will and woo, upon value. It is important to note that inquiry is often a collective enterprise, and habits aren't just individual, they are social. Intelligence can be collective as well as individual. Communities are characterized by values that are held in common, and language, which plays a central role in experience, is social. And part of the language are words, which allow us to quickly convey a distinction or a relation that has shown itself to work in varied situations. Social inquiry is democratic, giving each unique person involved a voice that enriches the larger conversation with diverse perspectives, allowing a broad forum for negotiating between these orientations without positing any single one as universal or final. The most important issue for Dewey is how we develop and maintain such a forum for inquiry in the larger society, in schools, and in classroom, as cited by Granger, 2006, page 75. What does the combination of John Dewey's pragmatic naturalism and systems theory as an alternative conception to schooling look like? That will be the focus of our discussion for the synchronous session. Thank you for listening and for watching. Stay safe and God bless, classmates.